everyone, I'm Debbie with Book and Bujo, and I am so glad that you joined me today as I go over all of the books I used to complete our fantasy bingo for 2025 to 2026. Okay, our fantasy bingo. Let's go ahead and dive right on in with prompt number 1. The protagonist is a knight or a paladin, and the hard mode was a character has an oath to keep. And for this one, I read Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. Loved it. Such a good book. Number 2, A Hidden Gem, a book that has under 1,000 ratings on Goodreads, and the hard mode is it was published more than 5 years ago. And for this one, I read Iceblade by Jay Aspin. Prompt number 3, published in the 1980s. The hard mode is by an author of color, and for this I read Bloodchild by Octavia E. Butler. Prompt number 4, high fashion. So clothing, fashion, or fiber arts are important to the plot. And for the hard mode, the main character has to make the clothing or the fibers. And I read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. Prompt number 5, Down with the System. And the hard mode is not a governmental system. And for this, I read Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. Now, I did have this one for a different prompt, but I was able to find a different book for that one. And so I moved this one to here. Prompt number 6, Impossible Places. This is where I had Dungeon Crawler Carl. And the hard mode is at least 50% of the story takes place in that other place. I did look it up on Reddit, and someone did say it worked, and so I'm going with it, and that's The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and I did read the graphic novel for this one, and it is heavily featured in there. Prompt number 7, A Book in Parts, and the hard mode is it has 4 or more parts. And I read City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards, and this was really good, and I think it had 5 or 6 parts to it, so it was definitely over 4. Prompt number 8, Gods and Pantheons. And the hard mode is multiple pantheons are involved. And I read Orishas Among Mortals by Antoine Bandelli, and that was excellent. It was really good, and it had multiple pantheons involved. Prompt number 9, Last in a Series. And the hard mode is that the series has to be more than 4 books long. And I read The Memory of Light by Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson, the last book in the Wheel of Time series. And I believe it's book 14? 14, 15, somewhere right in there. So yeah, way more than 4 books in the series. Prompt number 10, book club or read along. And the hard mode is that you take part in the discussion as well. And this one is specific to the Reddit book club, but as I don't turn in my bingo cards at all, it's just kind of for me, then I just chose a book club or read along that I'm actually a part of. And for this one, I read The River Has Roots by Amal El Motar. And that was Prompt 11 is Parents, and the hard mode is that the child is also a main character. It didn't have to be your actual child. It just, there was a child and an adult involved in more of like a parental capacity. And I read I Cheerfully Refuse by Leaf Anger. Prompt number 12, an epistolatory book. And the hard mode is that it is told entirely in epistolatory format. And for this one, I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, the first book in the Emily Wilde series. Now, I did just finish Anne of Windy Poplars, so if you're still looking for an epistolatory book, the 4th book in the Anne of Green Gables series by Lucy Maud Montgomery absolutely works because the whole thing is basically taken from Anne's letters to Gilbert. Prompt 13, a book published in 2025. And the hard mode is, it is also a debut novel, and I read Language of Dragons by S.F. Williamson. Prompt number 14, author of color. And the hard mode is that it's a horror novel. And for this, I read Jawbone by Monica Ojeda. Prompt number 15, a small press or self-published book, and the hard mode is the book has less than 100 ratings on Goodreads or is a marginalized author. And for this one, I read Hooked by Emily McIntyre, and she is a woman, so she is a marginalized author. 16, Biopunk. This one I did not get the hard mode on, but there's still time because the hard mode is no electricity-based technology. And I did read Ready Player One, but that is obviously electricity-based. And then I also read A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, but that one, the biopunk aspects of it are more in the lines of electricity-based. being like radio and TV and like movies. So, I mean, it kind of counts, but not totally. So I'm counting it for easy mode. If I have time, I will read The Island of Dr. Moreau, and that one should work for hard mode. 17, elves or dwarves. And the hard mode is the main character is an elf or a dwarf, and I read Beren and Luthien by J.R.R. Tolkien. Prompt 18, LGBTQIA plus protagonist. And the hard mode, it is a marginalized character on at least one other axis. So POC, disabled, ethnic, religious aspect, culture, something like that, along with being LGBTQIA plus. And I read A Space Opera by Catherine M. Valenti. That was an interesting one. Not a favorite, but very interesting. Prompt 19, 5 short stories. Hard mode is an entire sci-fi fantasy anthology, and I read The Very Best of Charles DeLint by Charles DeLint. And luckily for this one, the short stories did connect to each other here and there. So you had some of the same characters show up in some of the different stories, and as they were introduced to new characters, and those characters also showed up. And so I didn't mind this one too much. Prompt 20, Stranger in a Strange Land. And the hard mode is that the main character is an immigrant or a refugee. And I read The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. Prompt 21, recycle a previous rfantasybingo prompt. And I chose prologue or epilogue. And the hard mode is it has to have both. And for that, I read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. Prompt 22, a cozy sci-fi fantasy. And the hard mode is the author is new to you. And I read Silver in the Wood by Emily Tesh. I actually read both books in the duology, and that was definitely good cozy vibes. Somehow I forgot prompt number 23, which is generic title. And for this one, I did read The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams, the first book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series. Prompt 24, not a book. Hard mode is to write a review and post on the rfantasy bingo thread. Again, I'm not submitting mine, so I would say I would then post a review here on YouTube, and I did that. And what I did was learn how to crochet a little dragon. If you've been on any of my sprints, you have seen me crochet my dragon, because that's pretty much the only time I worked on him was when I was on sprints. So he was a lot of fun, and that's what got me into doing my crochet book blanket. Prompt 25, pirates. Hard mode, not a seafaring pirate. And for this one, I read Black Leviathan by Burned Purplies. This was a book club book, and they were in boats, but it was in the sky. They were sky pirates, and they hunted dragons, and then they sold things that they then took from the dragons. And it was a Moby Dick retelling. It was really good. I enjoyed it. So that was it. All 25 prompts. I completed all 25, one of them with easy mode. If I have time in March, I will listen to or read, because I do have access to audiobook as well, but I will listen to The Island of Dr. Moreau, and that will get me the hard mode for the biopunk prompt. And that's my plan, but I will let you know in March if I finish that or not. And I would love to find out how you are doing with our fantasy bingo. I think this is the earliest I've finished it so far, and I think I've only completely finished it twice. The first time I missed 2 books, I think, and probably hard mode on 1 or 2 of them. But and this is the first time I've completed it actually before March, the end of March. Usually I'm right down to the wire, so I'm very excited for that. And I can't wait to see what April 1st of 2026 brings for the next Our Fantasy Bingo, because it is so much fun. So how many squares do you still have left to finish on the Our Fantasy Bingo? Are you going for a blackout, or are you just going for 1 bingo? Because that in itself is amazing, because there's a lot of hard prompts on here. I lucked out that a lot of the book club books that I read actually fit really well into the Our Fantasy Bingo. Otherwise, I would probably still be searching for books for some of these. And I would love to know what you thought of some of these books. Did you read any of the ones that I did? And did you read them for these prompts, or had you read them previously? I'd love to know. And if you made it this far in the video, let's go ahead and leave a dragon emoji for Night Glow here. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other bookish content. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!